Okay, every single systems, KCS just only need you to explain 3 of them, but based on Roshan exam, he asked almost every system.
Wow.
But you know, for the private pilot, it's just maybe for the basic, as long as you can explain it well and make a story of that, just like I teach you about this, from the ignition to the engine, how engine works, how the cylinder works, okay? And
okay.
How the combustion work, and how if you put the lower grade of the oil, the fuel. So what I want you to do is don't wait he asks you. That exactly on my commercial exam. I don't want Dennis to ask me. Before he asks me, I explain to him. So then he has nothing to say. So make it a flow. And the other one is the weather. He is the big guy of weather.
Okay.
He dig you more on the weather than the regulation. Some examiner has a big moment in regulation. Dennis, yeah, he just asks you about some basic regulation, especially your privileges, your limitation, but he will move to other things. And he really concerned about PAVE.
PAVE. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
All right. So PAVE, the P is pilot. We already discussed for the pilot, and A is the aircraft. Is aircraft. So we have covered the aircraft.
Yeah.
Cover the system, airworthiness. What's the equipment that we can use that without operated. I mean, we can let that equipment inoperative. You still remember 91-13, right?
Say again. It was. It's a poor line.
91-13. You remember that we discussed about the 91-13?
Yeah, we talked about the minimum equipment list and the and things like that, right?
We don't have minimum equipment list. Remember that, okay?
Yeah, there is no MEL.
Okay, and that's why we use 91-13 to define whether we can fly or not.
Yeah.
And inside 91-13, there will be 91-05. That's tomato flames. Okay.
Yeah.
I get an update from another students who passed his private 5 days, finish up private like you saying, from Greg Nuys, because I sent him to Greg Nuys yesterday. I met him and I asked about what kind of oral questions based on the newest ACS. And Greg showed him about you know, the 91-05, there's 9 requirements, light,
oh yeah,
the flaps, right?
Flaps.
And he asks you, he will maybe Dennis, do you need a strobe light operation? The strobe lights, do you need that? So the answer is no, you don't need that. Okay.
Okay, so you don't need a strobe light, and also you don't need a landing light if the plane's not for hire.
Yeah, landing light is not, we don't need landing lights. Regulation based, we don't need at night, but Dennis is the big guy of personal minimum, so you cannot say that, okay, regulations say I'm okay with that, so I can fly without the light. You don't say that, okay?
How do you answer that question then? You say, how do you answer that question? Do you say, well, as per the regulations, it's not a requirement, but you know, from a safety perspective, you know, I would consider this it's one of my personal minimums.
Yeah, you say that it's too dangerous for me as a new private pilot to fly at night without the landing lights, because it doesn't show me the ground. At least when I'm on 5 feet above the ground, I can see the ground, so I can put my flare around and see that. Okay, there are 2 different things between Dennis and Greg. So it's about the 100 hours. So when you pass the 100-hour maintenance, then you know that you don't have any maintenance at your area to fly away from that location to some airport that you can get your maintenance there. So
Yeah.
fly after this 100 hours maintenance pass.
Sorry, are you asking me a question?
Yeah, or can you fly after the 100-hour maintenance pass, but you fly to the place that you will do the maintenance?
Yes, you are allowed to fly, but you need, you know, it needs to be for the purpose of repositioning the aircraft for aircraft maintenance.
All right, there's a regulation say you can fly the airplane as long as it's below 10 hours. And that 10 hours will be compensated for the next or deduct the next 100-hour maintenance. All right. Yeah. But Dennis thinks that you need special flight permit. That's a ferry flight. But Greg thinks you can fly at 10 hours. So it's like two different examiner thinks different. It's the same regulation, but they interpret it differently. Okay.
Wow. Okay.
So I don't want you to get wrong because most of the time I'm airplane, so I know that I can fly in the window of 10 hours. But with Dennis, just say that you require special flight permit for my flight. You know, we have to make Dennis happy.
Of course. Okay.
This is a
So you
big
contact
game.
the flight services office.
Yeah, and you ask for a special flight for ferry flight. Okay, just say that because I just know from Roshan. When Roshan told him about 10-hour things, Dennis keep asking that you need a ferry flight.
Okay, I'm writing all of this down. Okay.
All right, because this is very important. I interview all my students to prepare you well for your private because I want a little bit correction from Dennis. Then you can pass smoothly. Okay.
Of course. Thank you.
Okay. So write it down first. All right. Wait. I'm taking my AFD. Do you have AFD with you?
No, I don't. I don't have it with me right now, but I have my iPad with my ForeFlight on, so I can look at any details.
All right, but okay, I forgot to show you my screen. Can you see my screen now?
I can only see you.
How about
yes,
my screen?
I can see your screen. I can now. I can see the video.
You have friend here. This is your friend. This is the new assistant.
Hey guys.
Yeah. Hello. This is Dr. Ace who will take instrument and commercial. So we study together. All right. There is something about the hotspot. Okay. So the fee is environment. Let's start from the fee. Environment is including the weather, including the airport operation. So today we'll discuss about the environment. This is the AFD. The AFD is page 479. All right, is the
hotspots.
And yesterday, Roshan told me that Dennis gave him like a trap, asking him about the hotspot at Oxnard or some airport. So you need to take a look more on some pages that shows more hotspot. So find out because there is some pages that show more hotspot than the other. FD for your Checkride, okay?
Okay. I'll make a note. What was the specific hotspot at Oxnard?
Yeah, it shows in the airport diagram. Should be.
Okay.
All right, Oxnard. So the normal page is 479. That's for the hotspot. Let's take a look whether this is the correct one.
The hotspot is where is where the FAA are basically drawing your attention to an area where there's been an incident or an accident before, right?
Yeah, runway incursion.
Runway incursions. So it says here, caution, be alert to runway crossing clearances. Read back of all runway holding instruction is required.
Yeah, and here, I don't find optional, but your flight plan will be Napa Valley. So Napa Valley, there will be 3 hotspots, and you need to check your airport diagram as well. Napa Valley.
I've done my navigation. I haven't drawn it on my paper chart because I had to order them, but the chart arrived at home today. But I'm obviously in San Francisco now.
All right.
Okay, I see the hotspot as well at Napa 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah. There are 3 hotspots, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
All right, and that 3 hotspots is explained here. All right.
Explain them to you.
So, yeah, 481, the page 481. That's for Napa Valley.
Yeah, sure. It looks like hotspot 3 is a land and hold short. There's an intersecting runway between runway 6 and 36 left.
Yeah.
And hotspot 1 looks like a busy intersection of taxiways of Alpha, Echo, and Charlie. And hotspot 2 looks like an intersection between the start of runway 24 and taxiway Alpha, possibly with traffic moving across to the California Highway Patrol side. I can only imagine that's where.
Yeah, he just need you to show him what's the kind of hotspot and maybe read 1 or 2.
Okay.
So for Dr. Ace, your commercial things, Dennis will ask you about how to prevent the runway incursion. There's 7 items, maybe. Yeah, I need to recap, but what I can remember is you need to have a hotspot. You review the hotspot, that's the first, and then you need to have your airport diagram every time you want to taxi. Number 3, you need to read the airport. Number 4, you have to read back the instructions. Number 5, keep visual scanning when you taxi. Okay, that's the items you want to hear.
Okay.
Mostly for the commercial, so you need airport diagram is one of the case, and read the NOTAM. Number 6, NOTAMs. Is there any runway close or taxiway close, right? What kind of NOTAM is that, Dr. Ace?
Okay.
NOTAM. Yeah, that's a NOTAM D. So what's the other NOTAM? Tell me, Mr. Edward.
Sorry, what is a NOTAM? Notice to airmen.
Yeah, what kind of types do you know of the NOTAMs?
I'm sorry, I can't hear your question. What kind of what?
NOTAM. What kind of NOTAM do you know? How many types of NOTAMs?
Oh, I think there's 5 types. What they are off the top of my head, I don't know.
All right. The first is Delta NOTAM, D NOTAM. It's all about the aerodrome, the airport area, like a runway close, taxiway close, or any things, okay?
D for aerodrome, okay.
And then the other one is FDC, that's a flight data center. It's all about your navigation things for like ILS, and then the change of the SID or whatever is that. Is all flight data center things. And there is a military NOTAM, and the next 2 we don't really discuss on. Okay, that's items. Remember for your commercial. you need to do 6 items that it will ask you.
Okay.
All right, now let's go to weather.
Weather.
All right, to the weather. This is a part of environment. Part of environment, of course.
Yeah.
And we want to know what the ACS want you to know.
Okay.
Okay. And also, the weather will connect to the aeromedical factor. So I combine both, and also the weather, we need to know about the weather surfaces. So today we discuss about the external, the environment, which is including aeromedical factor. So you need to know about the atmospheric stability, wind, temperature, moisture, and precipitation, weather system formation, including air masses, clouds, turbulence, thunderstorm and microbursts, icing and freezing level information, fog. And all of the stuff of the weather, we need to know about what kind of hazardous weather that you there will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 weather hazard, starting from fog, ice, and freezing rain.
Okay.
Number 3, thunderstorm. Number 4, microbursts. Number 5, right? Number 5, shear. Number 6, turbulence. The next will be mountain wave. That will be 7 hell of the weather that will give you a trouble on the flight. You are instrument-rated pilot, you should know that. Private pilot, at least you know what are they, all right?
Okay.
And how to avoid that condition. So before we enter this story, you need to have your weather chart. We already prepared for you. We need to just update this into the latest weather chart.
Okay.
So what we have here, this is weather depiction chart. In the Checkride, he wants you to explain every dot, every single story in this depiction chart. Can you explain it to me now?
Okay. First off, the lines which are drawn around the weather, those are isobars which are connecting areas of equal pressure. That's about as good as I can explain in the story. The triangles are cold fronts in a line, and the circle and the half circles are warm fronts. Warm and cool air move vertically. It's called convective air. The darker the circle means the more intense the weather, and it's to do with the cloud cover. But I can't remember, Captain Gema, what the cloud coverages are.
All right. So weather depiction chart is the best tools to see the precipitation. Sorry, not precipitation. The ceiling, okay, and the cloud coverage for any region. So if you're looking at the depiction chart, tell him about the dot, okay, and the contour here, because you want to see is there any IFR condition and the clouds coverage ceiling in this area.
Okay.
So why I asked you to prepare this chart, because I have a legend. Shaded area that's IFR with ceiling less than 1,000 feet, or visibility less than 3 miles. That's IFR.
Yep.
So the contour with the shaded area here, all IFR. Contour, contour without shading is marginal VFR with ceiling greater than equal to 10,000 to less than equal 3,000. Okay. Visibility greater or equal than 3. and less than 5 or equal than 5. So where's the marginal? This is the marginal VFR.
Okay.
What is the VFR ceiling greater than 3000? So what you need to see here is what kind of the legend. There is a black, what do you mean? There's a white. White is mean the sky is clear. And how about the 2 dots here? It's all about precipitation. So I want you to really care about the weather depictions legend. Even though you can see the legend, but it's better for you to take a look here. See?
Got it.
So this is the ceiling, this is sky cover, this is present weather. There will be here. So weather depiction is not forecast, it's current weather.
Okay.
Right? So
current
if you see
cloud and ceiling.
Yeah, so 2 dots is rain. And this the shower. It's a big shower rain. Let's back to the PowerPoint. See? Can you see this? My mouse, there's a triangle and 1 dot. What's that? There's a triangle and 1 dot. So that will be shower, right?
Shower.
Shower, and the area there is really, the cloud is dark. It's almost cover everything. 3/4. So when you crossing this place, there's a marginal low ceiling 2500 because the ceiling is less than 3000, right? So this is marginal VFR, low ceiling, and after you pass the clouds, there is a shower rain.
Yeah.
3, but it's high, it's 12,000 feet clouds. So it's high clouds, shower rain. So you might not want to fly your Cessna. I don't like that. Okay, shower rain.
Yeah.
The rain may, yeah, the dissipation. This doesn't mean that there's a downdraft there. Rain is just nice to fly, but it's definitely marginal VFR, and the sky is blocking by the cloud. So if you're here at 1800, you need to go IFR. Even though the sky now is marginal, but based on the weather minimums, distance from the clouds, you need to convert to IFR, right? And you have to tell him, in my route to navigate, if I go through Santa Barbara, I got a marginal VFR with the chances to get IFR because there's a marine layer here coming from the oceans, goes to inland.
Yep.
Higher pressure here or lower pressure, we cannot see from this area. We go for the next surface analysis. But at least we know that there is a marine layer here.
Yep.
Okay. That's what I explained to Dennis. During my flying, the clear sky, but if the coastal line, I get a release for sky full cover here at 1400. So maybe you'll choose the land route. Can you interpret our current condition, Mr. Airport?
I'm just waiting. Yeah, okay. I was waiting for it to come through. Okay, so Southern California, there looks to be some isolated marine layer off the coast of Los Angeles. Those black circles, is that 3000?
Where is that?
In the shaded area. everything that you're looking at on your big computer is about half or a third of the size because of the way the presentation is. So I'm having to squint really close to the screen.
Sorry, how about this? Is this better now?
Yeah, a little bit better.
All right. Just tell me about what do you have in the Southern California? Don't bother with the numbers.
At the moment, full cloud cover, IFR with ceilings less than 1,000 feet and visibility less than 3 miles. The area without the shading is marginal VFR with ceilings greater than or equal to 1,000 feet. Is it or less than 3,000? Between 1 and 3,000 feet.
All right.
And visibility is equal or greater than 3 statute miles.
So, Dr. Ace, tell me about the clouds. I mean, from Oxnard to Napa Valley. Come on, you need to interpret this.
Yeah, it's clear sky.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's only some area with fraction of clouds.
So, do you think that we are good to go?
Inland, yes. Stay away. I will stay away from the coast.
No, the coastal is fine. It's just like it's but it's here, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So basically, the coastal line will be fine. It's better, far better than previously, like July 29. On our PowerPoint, the July 29 is nasty weather there, right? It's crazy. All right, so that's it. You discussed about the ceiling and the potential IFR area, and then you next to the other things. So tell me about the icing here, Mr. Edward. Now.
Well, there's in Southern California there is no icing. Icing exists in the Midwest, the North around Detroit and Lake Michigan, and in the South between Louisiana and Texas. SLD, I'm guessing that's solid. Thread of solid ice. Sorry, that's as much as I can tell you.
Okay, how about you, Mr. Ace?
Yeah, just basically on the California side is okay. It's mostly on the central, north central, and just slightly above Florida, the southeast side of the coastal area is heavy from trace to heavy icing condition.
All right, now what's the impact of icing? Tell me about the icing, Mr. Edward.
Well, the risk of icing in a Cessna 172 is that our only tool against icing is the application of carburetor ice. The Cessna doesn't have any de-icing boots or de-icing windshield or any other mechanisms to free the airplane from the collection of ice on the wings or on the surfaces.
Okay, what's the impact of the icing?
Negative impact on both lift and also the ability of the airplane to maintain its attitude in the air.
Okay, all right. The icing is not really a big deal for private, How about you for instrument?
Yeah, so basically you change the airflow on the
It's a little bit louder.
And it increases the lift and increase the drag.
Decrease the lift, increase the drag.
On the aircraft.
Drag or weight? How about the weight?
Now, of course, it'll be heavier on the aircraft as well.
Okay, so weight increasing. What kind of ice do we have? The category first. Any idea?
One of them is rime ice.
So, if you the category, aim for the big one. First is structural icing. The second one, induction, and the other one is instrument icing. Let's talk three of them. The structural icings.
Yeah.
Tell me, Mr. Edward, what do you know about structural icing?
I don't know anything about structural icing. Is this the
Okay.
solid ice that collects on the surfaces that's visible?
Let's try from Dr. H.
Yeah, I think it's basically icing on the surface of the
Yeah, there are three types of structural icings. Very famous one. What's that? Number one.
the rim ice, and that's the clear ice,
Clear ice, rim ice. Then
and then there's the last one, milky
do you know?
mix.
Mixed ice. Okay, mixed ice. All right, tell me about the clear ice. Any idea, Mr. Edward?
No.
All right, get ready. Get ready to note it down.
Yep.
All right, go ahead, Doc.
Clear ice. Ice basically is smooth and yeah, it's smooth.
How can it develop? What temperature?
It develops at about 0 to -10 degrees.
Okay, 0 to -10. That's correct. Then
And then the next one,
how to get?
to get icing, you need moisture and
Yeah, you need moisture.
yeah,
Right?
of course.
The near freezing temperature, like 0 degrees to 10 degrees, and then visible moisture, of course.
Yeah.
This is the clear ice. Primary force, lift, decrease, weight, increase, thrust, decrease, drag, decrease. Okay. Clear ice. You're the clear ice.
Yeah.
Like heavy coating, loss of lift because of disruption of the airflow. Number two, drag increase. What kind of drag increase?
Person.
What's
Like drag that is present that when there is slip.
no profile drag?
The skin surface.
Profile drag. What is parasite drag?
Parasite drag is basically drag that is triggered when the aircraft is moving against the surface of the aircraft.
When the speed increase, what drag increase?
Parasite drag.
Or induced drag? It's one.
Parasite drag.
Find out. All right. Homework. Drag. This is for the aerodynamic. Here. Profile drag, induced drag, parasite drag. Frictional resistance You will get it from frictions, right? And see, the induced drag is all about lift. Induced drag decrease with increasing airspeed. That's why I'm asking you, when the speed decrease, which drag increase? Which one? Induced drag. Remember, note this, okay? He will ask you about the basic aerodynamics of the drag. Why? Because when the speed decrease, what happened? The lift decrease. When the lift decrease, drag increase. So the total drag is all of them. Profile, induced, parasite. And then you will meet like lift to drag ratio, the most efficient ratio between lift and drag. So what impact? What's the use of that? When you fly at the best low and lift and the best lift and drag, when you fly at that curve, what you're gonna have? Anyone?
The best lift and the lowest drag at that point.
What are you gonna have? Not best flight. Best flight is the way you fly at that curve. But if you fly at that curve, you get the farther horizontal distance for every single feet, every losing out. I mean, so that's the farther horizontal distance on every losing for vertical foot. Okay. So that you have like, when you got engine failure, you go for the 65 for the best glide speed, and then in the Piper, it has a table, how many miles you can travel for horizontal. Horizontal distance for every single foot losing on the vertical.
Oh, it's 1 to 9 is the glide ratio.
Yeah, it's dependent on the airplane, but in the Piper Warrior, you have the table, okay?
Oh.
And if you got icing, then your drag increase.
Yeah.
Your drag decrease, excessive drag will cause aircraft lose airspeed. Increase your weight increase. Should be. Clear ice, be very clear about the clear ice. Loss of lift, increase in drag on the account and enlarged profile area of the wings. Increase in drag, right? So this wrong. The weight of the large may accumulate in short time. And finally, vibration caused by the unequal loading of the wing is very dangerous. So in the commercial part, there will be a question, what is the worst condition of the icing? When the ice is accumulating faster in the surface of the wing. Then we always want to avoid visible moisture when we fly, right? Rime ice. This milky white deposit of the ice forms the airplane flying through filmy stratiform clouds. The clouds that give you rime ice is stratiform clouds. But for like a freezing rain, nimbus stratus will give you like or a lot of freezing rain. Rime ice is usually brittle and can easily be dislodged by de-icing equipment. It's like boots, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It's ice. This is a mix between clear and rime. Mixed ice accumulate rapidly and difficult to. This one is really dangerous mix. You got clear ice, you got rime ice. It's definitely interference on the aerodynamic. And the last one is frost. It's semi-crystalline frost which covers the surface of the airplane formed in clear ice by process of deposition. Has little or no effect, but may obscure vision by coating the windshield. So the frost to cover your visual. In the jet plane, we remove the windshield icing using alcohol. So severe icing, moderate icing, it comes from nimbus shredders. Remember, if rain comes from thunderstorm, come from cumulonimbus, nimbus rotors, nimbus shredders will give you an ice. Yeah, categories of aircraft icing, right? Structural. Now, how about induction icing? It's formed in air intake of engines and carburetors. That's why carburetors is really suitable for the icing. Can occur with our structural icing. Air intake icing usually require the surface to be 0 degrees colder with visible moisture present. Carburetor icing is most likely in the air temperatures between 7 and 21, and humidity above 80%. So carburetor icing have to be a 0, so you can get icing from -1 to 21. And the other one is instrument icing, and mostly is because of the structural icing. It's like antennas icing. That's enough for you to explain the icing topics, and I believe we will move to another part.
Hopefully.
All right. Let's back to the weather. All about icing is long, huh? Talking about the icing, it takes 30 minutes. Crazy. About this, Mr. Edward, what you can say about the wind aloft surface chart?
About the surface chart. The wind aloft. The winds aloft are measured by static balloons twice a day. There's something like 90 balloons are launched around the United States by the Weather Service. In California, the southern one is launched at Miramar near San Diego. The Northern California balloon is launched at Oakland Airport. The balloons, as they climb through the air into the atmosphere, they record data that's transmitted to the ground station about the characteristics of the air, wind speeds, and temperatures or icing, etc. Then that information is then interpolated into the wind aloft charts, and I've run out of story, Captain Gema. That's all I know.
All right. How about you? Tell me about that picture.
The black lines are isobars. They connect areas of equal pressure.
Mm-hmm. How about you? Come on.
The wind, where it points to is the direction of the wind, and the 1221 below the high or low pressure, that's the sea level pressure in the universe.
All right, tell me more. I mean, there's a lot of things there. Tell me about the contour. What's the line? What kind of line is that? And what's the flag here?
Wind speed.
Yeah, tell me. Dr. Ace, tell me about the wind speed.
Wind speed is nice, 10 knots.
All right, how about you, Mr. Edward? How about the contour there? Do you know anything about the contour?
Well, I can see the H is a high pressure of 1,024 millibars. I can't see much more detail. I can see the red ones where it's much lower pressure at 1,003 millibars.
All right. Here, if you want to explain about the wind, so let's talk about the wind speed itself.
Okay.
This is the wind direction and the wind speed. So one line is 10 knots. Half line is 5 knots. If you see a pennant there, it's 50 knots. So is there any strong wind around Southern California at surface wind? Is there any strong wind indication here? How about you, Mr. Edward?
Yeah, I'm looking. Yeah, I'd say there is. There's around sort of the LA area. There's some 5s and some 5 knots, some 10 knots.
Okay, in the Checkride, you can say to Dennis, all right, Mr. Dennis, this is Southern California wind aloft surface. So I'm doing analysis from the surface first. So I believe that for the California, the surface wind is calm because it's less than 15 knots, all right? It's considered as calm. And the major directions, general direction is come from northeast. So when I'm flying to Napa Valley, I'll get a headwind from the surface, right? And this contour, this is the ISO bar, and if you can see how the wind moves is based on the Coriolis effect.
Okay.
Low pressure area, which is the cyclone, is moving anti-clockwise, and this is clockwise. And the narrower the ISO is, the faster wind aloft, wind speed. See, this is the narrow, the wind becomes 20. And this area, the wind is wide, and the wind has become like slow. Here, give no impact on my route for the cruising route. So I don't think at the 9,000 I'll get the strong wind. It's really calm wind. Okay. Yeah, and the coastal side is strong, and also on the east coast, mostly like 40 knots, 35 knots here.
Yeah.
School. Where's your school? Here, Florida, right? Down there. So the down there is normal. It's almost same with California. And how about the 12,000? Because when I go to Lake Tahoe, I need to fly at least 10, 11. So I also analyze for the high altitude here. It's only 10 knots. Beautiful. So, but the wind direction is changing. And as you can see, from the surface, from northeast, now it's coming from northwest. And here is also from northwest. So I'm going to get a crosswind from the left, right? You need to explain. And how about this? This is very important one. Let's start from Mr. Edward. Tell me about this chart.
Surface analysis is a weather chart taken at the surface. This is showing low pressure of 1,010 millibars in Northern California, and another low on the Arizona-California border at 1,001 millibars. In Colorado, there's a warm and cold front that looks like it's moving clockwise. There's a trough in Baja, California. It doesn't look to be impacting much. There's one in Northern California, which could possibly affect the route, but otherwise it looks fairly stable in the area of the planned flight.
All right, that's good, but I don't think it will answer what Dennis wants. So
okay, I'm ready to write down the answer.
Okay, ready? The answer is just very simple. When you open this, what's the first thing you will see? H and L. That's all about the high pressure, low pressure, and about the front, right?
Yep.
Let's talk first about the pressure. So when the high pressure and low pressure here, let's talk about why there are two kinds of pressures. What makes the weather? The weather happens because of the sun.
Yeah.
The sun, the earth.
Warming of the Earth's surface.
Unfortunately, the heat is never the same. Right? There will be an even heat exchange between the Earth's surface and there will be two different temperature. There's a cool, there's a hot, and because of two different temperature, cause two different pressures. There's a high, there's a low, right? Like this. And why we have the high pressure and why we have the low pressure? Because of the temperature. Now, if we're talking high pressure there, we're talking about the movement high to low pressure, because everything in this nature, the Mother Nature law is from high to low. But is the air movement, will the air move from high to low directly? No.
No.
The air moves with the rotation. It's not straightly from high to low. That moves anti-clockwise. This is clockwise on the high pressure, and from the low pressure, anti-clockwise, because the Coriolis effect.
Yep.
Understand? Right? That effect is makes a deviation of the movement. So instead of being straight, it's going deflected. Oops. And from the low pressure, now it's moving anti-clockwise, and we call that a cyclone. All right. Before we talk about the surface, that moves anti-clockwise, and then finally it goes to the low pressure, and the low pressure spin the, and low pressure is always associated with bad weather. At the low pressure area, application of the low pressure area, you will get strong crosswind, left crosswind. If you get very strong and increasing left crosswind, it means that you are entering the core of the low pressure. And what will happen at the low pressure? What will happen? You will get unstable weather, right? You get lifting actions, turbulence, clouds. Many things can happen in the low pressure. So in the high pressure is moisture. Now we know that California, even for Northern California, we got low pressure, and then the weather from here, the coastal weather, will go to inland. Okay, yeah. And when we talk about the movement of the weather, and we are at, let's say, the winter, okay, you will see that the mainland and the water here in the mainland is cooler than the water. The water is warmer and hotter. It brings the air moves to inland. And when the hot on the warm air goes to the cool air, what will happen? Fog, right? You can get the marine layer like a fog. Advection fog, yeah. Okay. Now you're looking pressure, that's done. And then let's look to what kind of shape here. That's a half sun, and there is a triangle here. This is what we call a cold front. And if you see occlusion front, it means when there's a meeting point between there is a cool and hot weather meet, okay? Yeah. And there is some cold front coming, and then it pushes the hot air go rising like that. So we call that a front occlusion. And that front wave as well. Stationary cold that will make a front wave. So this is the stationary, right? So what is front? Front is the border between the hot air and the warm air.
Okay.
Here, this is the cold front coming. So this front is between hot and cold. And in this area, cold and front is meet. So what happened? You can get what happened if you are between that. wind shear, changing of temperature, wind direction, right? Precipitation. Okay, so that's it. That's what he wants to hear from you, Mr. Edward. You know about the high and low. You know about the front, stationary front, okay?
Got it.
Then we have prognostic chart, which is here. You can see the turbulence, you can see the icing, the thunderstorm, right? Yep. And here, take a look. This confirm our depiction chart. It's confirming. Because in the depiction chart is showing the coastline, there's a IFR and marginal VFR, right? And here the ceiling less than 1,000, so the red one is confirmed. This is like a forecast. This is 12 and this is valid for 24 hours. And how 4 hours is reducing, right? So it means the next day for the 24 hours, there will be less IFR on this area, but you got the moderate turbulence in the mainland. Got it?
Got it.
Good. So that's prognostic chart. And then the SIGMAT and AirMat. SIGMAT and AirMat, you have to see that whether AirMat or SIGMAT. What is AirMat? AirMat has a weather for small aircraft. Okay. But SIGMAT is for all pilots. Doesn't matter you fly 747 or you fly 172. AirMat is all about the moderate icing, moderate turbulence, moderate, and the wind is like 30 knots wind. SIGMAT, so it's for hazard, severe turbulence, severe icings, but not related to the thunderstorm. When we are talking about the convective, SIGMAT is all about the thunderstorm. You got hail, and how the hail forms because of the lifting actions is very and throw up and very above, very strong lifting action, very unstable weather, and then it shoot up the hail, kind of like a rock with ice because it's very fast, and because of the fast lifting action, the saturated air doesn't have time to dial it down before, so it's going up and freeze. So the water liquid there is freezing so fast and throw up because its weight is really weight, right? I mean, the weight is heavy. The weight is really significant. And it has a significant weight and become heavy, and then it's dropped as a. It's like a, boom, something like that, right? So the hail happen because the unstable weather. It has a faster lifting action, and the cool weather above, because the unstable weather is cooler faster, right? The ambient slab rate is cooler faster. So the higher the weather, the cooler, but it's significant. The change of the temperature is really significant. It's go up, it's really cool there. Lifting action with the very humid, huge water moisture go up and freeze, then boom, it's become a hail. Okay? So that's very significant. There's a SIGMAT, there's a convective SIGMAT. It's all about the turbulence tornadoes, okay? And that's happened.
Yeah.
And the tornadoes itself, it happened because of the front. The meeting point between the hot and the cold air mass would happen. And then there's a cold front, all right? That will give you the severe tornado, something, volcanic ash. No, I mean the tornado, and the SIGMAT also covers about the volcanic ash things, okay? So you need to know about that. And there is a wind aloft and temperature detail. You have to know how to encode this code. There's a manual of this, just Googling it, okay? Again, of the weather and icings. Any questions?
Not on that. Not on wind aloft.
All right. If you can explain like this, he will be very happy with you.
Maybe he'll just give me my instrument rating pilot instead. Just
okay. Yeah, he will give you instrument rating maybe. Right. So I need to prepare you more than you should be. You should have on the private, because that will make you safe and even more confident. Right.
okay. I've written some good notes. Thank you.
Let's talk about the art of flying in the mountain area.
Yep.
You have this document, right?
Yes.
So the oxygen, we already covered.
Yep.
Here, all right. Can you read this?
Yeah, that's clear.
Read the atmospheric stability and go down. Come on, read.
You want me to read it out loud?
Yes.
Okay. Atmospheric stability, temperature, and moisture content. Stability, temperature, and moisture are the three primary properties of a parcel of air. How air will react to its encounter with mountains is dictated by these properties. Stable air, for example, is less likely to generate intolerably turbulent conditions. Temperature plays a role in stability, since warm air overlying a colder layer creates an inherently stable condition. Conversely, cold air above warm causes both to seek their proper place in terms of density, resulting in convective churning. Moist air will generate more clouds where dry air won't. If clouds do form, they usually offer insights into the type of air around them. Cumulus cloud types indicate unstable air, while stratus clouds tell of more stable atmospheric conditions.
Tell me about the moisture. How you define the high moisture and the high humidity things? What happened with the temperature? No, the spread between temperature and dew point.
The dew point, right? It's the spread between.
The spread, that's the 2.5 degrees Celsius.
Yeah.
And you got that spread, you will high moisture. And what happened to high moisture?
Well, it has to go somewhere. It either, gets warm and rises in the form of cumulus clouds, or it freezes and it becomes rain or hail or snow.
Okay, 2 degrees or less, that will be saturated air.
Accelerated, yeah.
So remember, if you see the moisture, the visible moisture clouds, why it's formed? Because the air cannot hold it anymore, cannot make the moisture invisible. It has to show you, right? It's no longer be invisible because it's saturated. And how do you know that saturated? By see what I call that, the spread between temperature and dew point. Okay.
Yep.
And how to check the weather stability? He will ask how to check the weather stability. Any idea? That's an ambient lapse rate. Ambient lapse rate 2 degrees per 1,000 feet. The hotter the air on the higher altitude, we call that a stable weather. But the faster the cooling process, okay, unstable weather. So the temperature inversion, what's that?
When the temperature rises with rising altitude.
Why? Why it happened?
Of the saturated lapse rate.
No. Why it happened? Why the temperature inversion happened? Dr. Ace.
Temperature inversion, warmer ground, stable air, and the moist get cooled and rises up.
Yeah, but why?
I think one of my friends told me about it. It's about the sun. The sun that
The sun that heats the ground.
yeah.
We call that what? We call that a terrestrial radiation. It means that at a cool night, clear night, okay, and a flat ground, the flat area, the surface release the heat. This gold radiations and radiations go up, and the radiation goes out like that, and then upper the surface is warmer than below. That's the temperature inversion. And what will you get? What will you get in the temperature inversion, Mr. Edward?
When there's an inversion, it means the warm air should be beneath the cold, but when there's an inversion, it's when the cool air is on the bottom and the warm air is on top. That means there is a warming of the cooler air.
All right, so temperature inversion, all right, here's the answer. Temperature inversion will give you stable weather, and if happen near the ground, you get wind shear. For the wind, it's wind shear, but you get stable weather because the weather is warmer, right? And because of the stable weather, what you get? Limited visibility.
Reduced visibility.
Yeah.
Or limited visibility.
All right, let's talk about the mountain airflow. Dr. H, read that louder.
Mountain airflow, imagine a slow-moving river with smooth flows. When we find rocks in the stream, the water finds less tranquil passage by the rocks. The same volume of water is forced to pass the gaps or large over the obstruction. Speed increases and the flow is so turbulent that it earns a rather foreboding name, white water. The same can be said of air passing through mountainous terrain. Airflow is to a mountain or ridge line is either deflected through passes mechanically. Often it gains speed and becomes less stable. This is the atmospheric equivalent of white water.
Yeah. So from that point, when you fly to Napa Valley and you see the mountain, you will expect on the leeward there will be strong downdraft, turbulence, all right, wind shear because of the air coming and it hit the mountain, it's separate like that, or it flow from the windward side, go to the leeward side, and it's roll like that. So you have to be aware about choosing the route over the mountain area, okay? And sometimes there's a lenticular clouds because of the clouds over there and deflected and moving like lenticular. And what's a lenticular means? It's really heavy turbulence there. It's nasty weather, okay? Lifted air full, often causing moisture to condense and form clouds. What's the condensation? Tell me, anyone? What is condensation mean?
The definition is
Transforming from
all right, I don't need the definition. I just need. Can you tell to your dad what is condensation? Because your dad doesn't know about the definition, right? So, what's evaporation?
evaporation is basically
What?
When water becomes steam. When you boil water.
Gas is not steam.
Oh, gas.
And what is condensation?
Yes.
Gas becomes a liquid or icing. liquid, right? But how if the gas directly becomes an icing? What we call that? Sublimation. Condensation of the moisture that will create clouds or fog. Under certain conditions, this action creates upslope fog. So remember, fog is created by the warm air is getting cold. That's why the moisture no longer can hold its moisture. So when the high moisture get cool, okay, get a cool weather, cool air, what happens? It will condense. It's become visible, either clouds or fog. The deep clouds and fog, clouds can happen at any altitude, but the fog should be near to the ground, right? There's a surface. In others, that overclues as the properties below cumulus cloud at other and similarly unstable flight condition. Smooth steady form clouds in the opposite. The formation of cloud on the windward side of the mountain over increased likelihood precipitation there as well. Why? Because the moisture lifting following the windward is the here, the upward. That's the windward, all right? The lifting moisture get cold. What happens? It becomes heavy, and after that, the moisture down. When the moisture becomes cooler, it's heavy, and after heavy, fall. That's why the windward side you expect precipitation. Okay, when you fly inside the mountain, like a helicopter pilot flying inside the mountain, you have like a, if the weather coming from that side, you've got all leeward. It's really dangerous. Yeah, could be like maybe no, it's not really CB. It should be like downdraft, okay, clouds or fog. Maybe not CB. Yeah, it's a downdraft. Maybe microburst. I don't. The microburst is happen on the the thunder related to thunderstorm. It's 6,000 feet per minute, and sometimes when it happened near to the final approach, you're gonna die. That's why we weather. By contrast, the lee side tends to receive less precipitation. It's already it's going down like that. So if there's no moisture, it means that it's just like a movement. It's a power, downside power. Descending air is warm and dry. See, the air has, however, taken up by to move to the right over the summit. As such, airflow on the lee side tends to be far more turbulent and unstable. Generally, smoother flight is to be found on the windward side, where we receive the additional dynamic orographic lift. Okay, like a thermal. What is the ridge line? The wind crosses ridge line, accelerates. It is not at all stop velocities to be twice as strong as undisturbed airflow is. Of course, this acceleration amplifies the effect updraft, downdraft, and development of mini weather system. You need to know about the speed and stability of the mountain airflow. In the face of high winds, unstable, even experienced mountain pilots in powerful air will decline the scheduled flight. How do you know that? You want to see unstable weather. How do you define unstable weather? So you want to fly to Lake Tahoe, make sure that in the Lake Tahoe or air mountain, the lifting, the ambient latch rate, you show that the weather there is stable. How you define that, Mr. Edward, whether it's stable or not?
What the outlook looks like?
No, it's very simple. Just get your wind log and take a look in the last point, like 9,000 feet altitude temperature. You calculate ambient latch rate.
Okay.
If the temperature at 10,000 feet is less than 2 degrees 1,000 feet, at that altitude, it means that the weather there is unstable, right?
Unstable. Okay.
All right. That's a windward, and that's a leeward. That's a ridge line. So that ridge line will crack the weather like a water. Ridge line is here, the peak. That's a ridge line. And that makes when the weather comes from this going up and go down, this is the, what do you call this? The windward. This is the leeward, right? So if you're flying here, it's depend. Actually, it's depend when the wind comes from. If the wind comes from here, so this will be the leeward. Okay. Now, this also can make the lenticular clouds.
Yeah.
All right. Read about the mountain wave, Mr. Edwards.
Is there another slide? Is it going to change?
Sorry.
Sorry. What do you want me to do? Read about? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The slides just changed here. Okay. Weather, mountain waves. When airflow over mountainous terrain becomes strong enough, a mountain wave or standing wave may form. These waves form on the downwind side of a mountain or ridgeline and can extend for 100 miles or more. The intensity of the wave action is determined mainly by a mountain height, slope, and wind velocity. Mountain waves usually offer visible clues of their existence, as well as predictable atmospheric influences. The existence of a mountain wave is a near certain indicator of turbulence. This varies from light to extreme, but generally tends towards severe. The degree of turbulence varies with wind velocity, air stability, and location within the wave. Mountain waves can be predicted with some degree of accuracy. However, in the absence of forecast information or pilot reports, PIREPs, for a given area, pilots should be alert for the presence of the conditions necessary for mountain wave formation. Wind flow perpendicular to the ridgeline, with velocities of 20 knots or more at mountaintop level. A wind profile marked by an increase in velocity near the summit. A strong, steady airflow is usually found in the upper atmosphere, or an inversion layer near the mountaintop. Cloud. These clouds are constantly forming and dissipating in the same place. Lenticular clouds are lens or almond-shaped altocumulus clouds found in the upper region of the mountain wave, anywhere from just above ridge top level to more than 40,000 feet. They always form downwind from the ridge responsible for the wave and may form in bands or as a single cloud. Although the smooth form of lenticular clouds indicates stable laminar airflow in the vicinity of the clouds, very unstable air is a virtual certainty in the area immediately below.
Okay, good. So I give you example. This is the lenticular and disaster. So to define whether there is a mountain wave or not, that's the goal. First, you need to know the pressure from the ridgeline is 20 knots or more. It means that the strong wind from the windward side will give you like a turbulence on the leeward side because of strong wind, right? Is there any temperature inversion? Okay. On the mountaintop, and the presence of lenticular. If you can't see the lenticular, there will be a mountain wave there. Clear?
Clear.
Now let's look something interesting. Maybe let's take this factor. This is our route, right? Go there.
Yep.
Can you see this is the peak? This is the ridge line.
Yeah.
This is the ridge line. Where else? This is the ridge line, right? Here, ridge line. Ridge line. Ridge line. Then you take a look to the wind aloft, near to the altitude 8,600, right? The highest elevation, maximum elevation 9,600. So maybe you want to see 9,000 wind aloft. 9,000 wind aloft. Let's say it's aloft coming here. It's coming like this. Let me change to the red. Is this perpendicular?
Yes.
What do you think, Bert? So if you got this, you will expect there will be a mountain wave around here, right? Make sense?
Yes.
Then your route is here. So what you can expect? That's the first thing, right? So explain this on your oral. I will show you what's the mountain wave, because you will demonstrate your knowledge regarding your knowledge about at night. Okay, you need to explain to him about what happened to flying in the mountainous area at night. First, fog. If you have a clear night at flat area, you're gonna have radiation fog. Radiation fog. Okay, and also in the lake area will be a lake fog. Write it down, okay? Fog lake. We call it lake effect fog. I think this explains. Lake effect is particularly clear in the sea viewing. It's flow across a relatively base. The cold, dry air gets heat and moisture from the surface. The warm, moist air rises into the atmosphere and mixes furiously with the cold, dry air above. The warm, moist air deepens and it travels across the lake. Some of the evaporated water from the lake condense in streamers of fog rising from the surface. That's why we need to know, first, flying at night, okay, to Lake Tahoe, night, high elevations give you trouble. First, if you are talking about the weather, so you potential of fog. You will get potential of mountain wave. You need to consider about your weather on the windward side or the leeward side.
Mm-hmm.
How to know that? Let's talk about the fog first. You might lake effect fog because the lake is warmer at night, right?
Yep.
Then it's raining, and then the weather above. Now the moisture is condensed. Then you have steam fog above the lake. Will it be reasonable for you for that flight? What do you
say again? What was the question?
Will the steam fog become a risk for night flying?
No, I wouldn't say so much. The warm air is most likely to rise during the daytime. I would imagine less so at night.
Here, I read about the steam fog is danger.
Does steam fog occur at night?
Yeah, it can. It's evaporation fog.
Yeah.
It can happen at night, so right? Steam is commonly observed over lakes and streams on cold autumn mornings in polar region. It's sometimes confused with ice spot, but the practical temperature minus 28 and the other things. So the principle is, if you're flying at the lake, what we're afraid is the radiation of the hot air, moisture air from the lake, condensed by the cool air, and it creates a fog. And the problem is your route, all your final approach route is above the lake. So what's gonna happen? You cannot see the lighting. You cannot see you lost, you get like, you know, when we connect that to the optical illusions, you're flying into the cloud, into the fog. You will think you're farther away than you can dive down. That's one of the risks. Second risk, you are not instrument-rated pilot, you will lose because you cannot see the airport due to the fog, limited visibility, right? Okay, and then for the mountain wave, we take a look to the wind. So Mr. Dennis, I will check to the wind whether there is a perpendicular wind to the ridge line around here, because this impact on my approach path. So I want to know, I have to expect there's a turbulence there. If there is a 20 knots wind near to the ridge line top and perpendicular, it means that my flying path is toward to the leeward side of the ridge, right? Understand?
Yep.
So this is exactly what you want to consider. So the trick is perpendicular from here. This is a ridge line.
Yep.
So this is then become a leeward. This is a windward. This is nice, but this is terrible. Yep. Clear? I guarantee you will pass 100%. Just memorize everything I'm telling you.
It's so easy.
Yeah, that's easy. It's just like a show. So you are now an actor. You just memorize the script. That's it. I don't care. But you care. After you get your license, you have to review it all again, right? To get understanding, the deep understanding. I am still studying all the weather, you know. Even now I'm going for my CFI. So this recorded, so hopefully one day I'm looking at to this video, it's become a good memory for me. So I cover all the weather, then I'm very fresh to review.
Sure.
Nobody becomes a perfect pilot with Checkride. The Checkride is just a bare minimum to pass the requirement, but after that, you have plenty of time to read everything if you love to fly. I love to fly, I study every day, even more than I'm flying the airplane. I don't like to fly in the airplane because I was afraid. I was have an incident. I didn't fail it, and I right? So I'm not really like to fly alone, or I don't really like to spend time just with a single engine airplane. So it's better for me to fly at simulator. It makes me happy, but the more I'm happy when I read the books, I discover the things I don't really clear on that. I found out in the books and the AIM, and read the regulations. That makes me a better pilot. Flying a lot doesn't make you a better pilot. It's just spend your money. If you're not prepared with the adequate knowledge, you're not gonna be a better pilot. You just make yourself like more stupid day by day, flying without any reason, right? So my advice is, after you got these things, you got your private done, every time you want to fly for more than 50 miles, just do a weather briefing, research, and even though you're flying just for an hour, maybe our preparation will take like 3-4 hours. Then sometimes we think about, what should I do, right? Because I'm just flying 1 hour and my preparation is 4 hours, so it's not worth it. No, it's totally worth it because you keep sharp. That becomes on your personal minimum as well. If you don't have time to research, I'm not taking a flight. You tell that to Dennis. People like it because it's including on the aeronautical decision making and the hazardous altitude. There will be 5 hazardous altitude. Do you know what's that? MIARA. Macho, invulnerability, impulsivity, anti-authority, resignation, right? And the impulsivity is the problem. You rush. You want to fly. I don't have time. Oh my God, I wake up so late, so I need to fly. How about the weather briefing? Ah, come on. It's just like 25 miles, flying less than 30 minutes, then you end up with get caught with IMC, the very layer count Van Nuys to Oxnard. Because remember, you fly from Van Nuys to Camarillo, Oxnard, and in the morning, maybe at Van Nuys or Whiteman, you get very clear sky, but when you across the Simi Valley, you will see the terrible weather.
Yeah.
Okay. And there's a NOTAM, the fire, TFR, maybe in the Santa Barbara during summer, a lot of fire. And when Santa Barbara get the fire there, that smoke is come to Van Nuys, you know. It's 75 miles away, but the smoke comes to Van Nuys. If you're not read all the briefer, you're not called a briefer, you don't read the NOTAMs, well, all right, we have 25 minutes, have appointment there, you rush, you track in activity, you fly, all right? And you forget to refuel the airplane because you think that, all right, I have a house tank. So it's only 25 miles, 30 miles. It's 25 minutes flying. I have like house tank, it's about 2 hours. So what's the matter? Come on, fly. You not check your NOTAMs, you not check the weather, the layer. Then you fly and you get lost. You don't know about the instrument, you cannot go home, right? And you don't have enough fuel. End up with panic. When you panic, you will fly into the cloud, spatial disorientation, and you crash. That's happened all the day. So even though you're flying 1 hour, you can tell Mr. Dennis about this story, about this angle. All right, Mr. Dennis, let me tell you about the aeronautical decision making. I am a good because I already trained well. My instructor told me about the aeronautical decision making. Captain G also told me about the single resources management and give some example. And then I come up with this example. So make it this as your example. I will combine because he will ask you about then I want you to pack it up as a one story. So I aware the page is all about the pilot, my self-judgment, my airmanship. So I'm talking about the single resources management. I'm not going telling you about the definition, Mr. Dennis, because I'm aware this is all about the real life. So I know that people sometimes get trapped into the impulsivity of hazardous attitude. The meaning is when I get a party or I get an appointment and I have to fly, trapped in a rush. So maybe I just fly for 30 miles from Van Nuys to Oxnard. All right, that's totally very short flight with a Cessna or Piper. And then I'm thinking, all right, it's just like 30 minutes, so I don't have to get a weather briefing. Because sometimes if I reset everything, that will cost me like 2 hours. Then my flight is only like 30 minutes. So some people will think, or even myself will think, it's not worthy because I'm on a rush. But that now it's become my personal minimum. I'm not gonna do that because sometimes you say that when the layer comes from the oceans, Oxnard, Camarillo will become IMC. But in Van Nuys, still VFR. So I'm not checking all of those things, and I fly, even forget to fulfill my fuel because I'm thinking that I only fly 35 minutes or 30 minutes and my fuel, I have a half tank fuel, and I get that. And after that, Mr. Dennis, what's gonna happen? I can be a panic pilot and I just fly through the clouds because I'm not instrument rated, I'm not able to use all the VOR to do approaches. So I will get trapped in the situation of flying with IMC, all white clouds, and I have to rely on my instrument. And I believe I will get trapped in the spatial disorientation.
Yeah.
I will crash. So that's the story. I need you to know, Mr. Dennis, that I am aware about the decision making. I believe if you pass me today, I'm not gonna do this unless I will take my instrument rating and then I can fly as instrument rated pilot. You have to say every single word to this because it's completely summarize the whole things together. It means that you know how the weather comes, you know the air comes, and you know what's the impact of flying on the white cloud That's a spatial disorientation. Then he will come to you with, okay, tell me a little bit about the spatial disorientation. Then you will explain to him about the fascicular system, right? How the middle ear can lie to you. That's what I'm telling you. We don't allow the examiner ask you something. You tell him something, and he will just move to another subject. Clear?
Clear.
So in the AC class, you don't have to memorize it. You don't have to memorize all the definitions. You need to understand the things, and you explain with language.
Yep.
Like this, Lake Tahoe, that's the consideration. As long as you can say, there's a fog, there's a turbulence on the mountain waves, right? And there's a optical natural illusions, you'll be fine. Instrument rated, they will give you like a shitty weather there. He asks you maybe how is the weather there. So okay, I'm shit the LGA approach, runway 18, right? And he will ask you about, okay, how about if the weather is bad, then you have to explain the circle to land things in the LDA. The MDA, what's your go around procedure? Where's your alternate? And how to choose the alternation. Then the 800 and 600 and 212 visibility, right? And the 1, 2, 3 things, you explain that. All right. So, any question?
Not from today.
All right. You clear about all the briefing today?
Yes, I think so. I've got some good notes. When do you arrive in Los Angeles?
22nd, and we cover about the video call.
Okay.
22nd, we start our prep. 21st, I will be there at night.
Okay. Will we, on 22nd, will we do another video, or will I come to the airport and meet you?
No, we meet at hangar.
At the hangar. Okay.
Yeah, because we have to do like simulation of the radio.
Got it.
And we summarize everything. Okay.
Perfect.
Now let's talk a little bit for the last one about the aeromedical factor. He will ask you about the hypoxia, hyperventilation. Yep. We already covered disorientation and middle ear things, and carbon monoxide. Tell me about the hypoxia.
Hypoxia is a condition that is the result of a lack of oxygen, and you can get hypoxia in an airplane from either flying at altitude without using oxygen, or from actually the exhaust gases from the exhaust. If there's a leak in the seals, then that carbon monoxide can actually leak into the cabin, and if you're not aware of it, it can lead to hypoxia.
What is the symptom of hypoxia?
Feeling sleepy. Yeah, feeling tired and maybe having a headache, feeling thirsty.
Cyanosis is the bluish, and the sense of euphoria and impaired judgment.
Yep.
Reduce the visual quality. And how about hyperventilation?
Hyperventilation is a rapid breathing, shallow breaths, very rapid shallow breaths.
And how to overcome that?
The best way is to focus on your breathing and to slow it down. Maybe use a paper bag or a sick bag, an empty one, obviously, and breathe into it. And it's a good way to try and control your breathing.
Okay, how about the nitrogen in the bloodstream? for a scuba dive?
Yeah, so when you scuba dive, nitrogen in the bloodstream expands, and if you dive for too long, you can get a condition called the bends, which is where the nitrogen expands in your in the gaps in your bones, and it can make coming up to the surface and then being on the surface very uncomfortable. So you have to be careful when you've been scuba diving that you don't fly in a too short a period. They recommend 24 hours between your surfacing from your last dive and flying again. And yeah, anyone who's scuba diving and flying in either general aviation or commercial needs to be very mindful of the dangers associated with the reverse bends.
Okay. So I'm here about the nitrogen things like a bubble, like an empty bubble. When it enters to your heart, you can get heart attack.
Oh yeah, I bet. Yeah.
Right. So this is very dangerous of that.
Oh yeah, people die of it.
Yeah, die. Then like the assassins, they kill people with put the injection, like empty injection with the air, just straight away to the heart. You push and give directly to the heart. You die, and nobody knows why you die because of that. That's how to kill people without using any gun. Just use one injection. You pump with the air. You push it, and if you give the air to the brain, you will get a stroke.
Huh. You know a lot about that.
Yeah. I'm not gonna kill you with that, because unless you fail your checkride.
I'm gonna tell my wife if I die because I got air in my brain, go looking for Captain G.
Yeah. So the last one is optical illusions. For the private part, you should to know about the somatographic illusion. What's that? That the acceleration effect during the takeoff. Some people get somatographic illusion. It's rapid acceleration that feels that you are climb, something like you go up like that. Then your action will be you push the yoke down. That's happened. That's somatographic illusion. And read about what's the impact of the wide runway and the narrow runway.
Oh yeah, I read that.
Runway impact is like feel you lower than it should be. And the narrow runway, you're a little bit high. You think that you're higher, then you tend to do a low approach, and you hit the electrical power cable, something like that. Okay.
Yeah.
And upward runway, it's feeling that you are too high, and down sloping like you are too low.
Yeah, and you drag it in.
How to overcome that? Fly with a visual reference like a light, fuzzy, or puppy. That will help you.
Yep.
All right. So tell me about the alcohol. What's the limit?
0.4. Oh, sorry,
0.04.
0.04.
Yeah. And for how many hours? 8 hours, right?
Yes, for 8 hours.
And the scuba divers? How many
I think
hours?
it's 24 hours.
12 and 24 hours.
Yep. Oh, sorry, is it 12 or 12 or 24 hours? 12
if you are not under decompression, or you're not flying more than you're not flying more than 8,000. Okay, that's it for the weather and the aeromedical factor. Not much. And soon, today or tomorrow, I will send a video of last video we have. Okay.
Excellent.
Okay, that tomorrow.
Wonderful. Thanks, Captain Gema. Have a good flight back to Los Angeles.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Bye-bye.